Hello and welcome back to the Atlas Readings. This is your host, Fran Eden, and I'm bringing you a slight channel update here. We'll be starting to release videos um, Monday at 12 Eastern Standard Time and Friday at 12 Eastern Standard Time to sort of make the schedule make a little bit more sense. So you know when to expect to see stuff. And I'm about 12 off from having stuff for the foreseeable future, let's be fair here. Today I'm going to be reading Centaur Ward Runner, Chaos Knight, Chen, Clinks, and Clockwerk. So without further ado, let's go.
A centaur's road is paved with the corpses of the fallen.
The taverns are always crowded the night of a big fight, the night of the title fight at Omix. Tonight's no different, with everyone buzzing about the big fight, but not tonight's big fight. It's 1 year later, and it still feels like the only fight worth talking about. The day War Runner had returned to Omix. He had returned a conquering hero. But there's no basking in past glory in the ring, and there's nothing a fresh, young, hungry combatant wants more than to conquer a conquering hero. For months, the bookmakers had tabbed the young upstart named Thalanax as a perpetual betting favorite. He hadn't disappointed to that point. But when War Runner snorted and stamped his hoof at Thalanax's challenge, the youngster, more brawn than brain, failed to take it as the warning that it was. Thalanax's funeral was sparsely attended. He lost a lot of people a lot of money that fight. War Runner said he would be happily return to the Omix any time to kill anyone who ever wanted to challenge him for the belt. And I will likely take my time, he added, to make it worth the trip. So far, if anyone else thinks they have a shot at it, they've kept it to themselves. Fun fact, this is actually a little bit of a snippet from Crownfall. Because if you do the Crownfall event, and I did have the setup ahead of time, you get the belt for your actual War Runner, which is really fun. I don't think they needed to call it a strap, but it's cool. I prefer the Legend of the Lobby one, though, because it's got a little face that moves. He's so happy to be here. Look at him. Anyway. Chaos Knight.
Knight in blackest armor.
I run. As a squadron of cavalrymen on massive black steeds chase me down across the fields of carnage, I run. I know I can't outpace them, but even if I could, turns out it wouldn't have mattered. The horsemen simply disappear and reappear in front of me. The foremost horse dissipates as I skid right through him before crashing headlong into the massive steed behind him. Winded and a bit stunned, I staggered to my feet. I had dropped my torch as I was running, but the fiery eyes of the rider and steed alike proved a dismal light of which I could barely see. You are no being of the light, the rider growls. I'm not sure whether to take offense, but even if I did, I'm not about to show it. Your mortal ways are beneath me. You matter not. Okay, that one stings a bit. The light shall fall beneath my blade. Its adherents shall return to dust. With that, the other horsemen vanish. Chaos Knight's steed turns and charges off, leaving me alone in the dark. And if that means he's not coming back, the dark is just fine.
So begins the persecution.
Shen. I had a hard time with Shen. I actually had to get my wife to play Shen for me when we duoed. I don't think I like him very much. Sorry, little scratch at the back of my throat. I'm still a little sicky poo. When I had first heard the rumors about Shen, a former outlaw who had converted to the side of holy justice, I was suspicious. I learned a long time ago that knights in shining armor usually bear no small amount of tarnish. None of the villagers willing to take my coin had encountered Shen themselves, but most knew a friend or a relative who had set out to find him in hopes of converting to his righteous cause. As expected, none of them had returned, so off I went searching. I realized I was on the right path when I found a bloody spot where a few hopeful acolytes' pilgrimage had violently ended. An interview with Chen now seemed unwise, so I clambered up the nearest tree. From that vantage point, I witnessed a weeping man begging, whether for mercy or absolution I will never know. With a flash of light, Shen converted this one as he had the others, the steaming corpse bringing Shen's loyal animals out to feast. Up, up.
Where goes my eye, goes my arrow.
Clinks. Only a tar-laden place like the Hoven could produce such a creature like Clinks. And only its people could love him. The lush forest, pockmarked by puddles of black, brings to mind a slumbering god trapped in some sort of cosmic pubescence. Always changing, but never changed. It would be easy to assume that this land is at war with itself, but outside of ruining your boots if you're not careful, the Hoven has found a strange equilibrium. It's ironic, by defending the equilibrium, Clinks now stands between a state of life and death himself. Stories from outside of the place tell of a fiery demon who relishes in firing holes in the chests of kind innocent travelers. I had expected little else, and for once I was wrong. Clinks was no demon. He had slain one. He was burned alive in the process, gifted eternal light for his victory, both a blessing and a curse given his blazing form. He is a sleepless protector, the fire around his head as much as a warning to those who would harm the Hoven as it is a beacon to hope for those who would call it home.
I'm more than a bit tightly wound.
And Clockwerk. I love Clockwerk. He's fun. Rattletrap seemed to repeat, "Don't touch that." With every gear-filled horror I moved to inspect closer. In his horror-filled workshop. I told him I had no intention of ever doing so. I was no fool. But I also understand his warnings were a form of braggadocio wrapped in concern. Admittedly, his self-assuredness is well-earned, and based on the number of mangling deaths attributed to Rattletrap, his advice was well-warranted. When I asked if spots on and around the inventions were blood or rust, he simply nodded his head and smiled, as if we were sharing an inside joke. And I realized that some test subjects may not have received the same warning I'd gotten. No, Rattletrap wasn't actually bothered by innocent people being minced in his workshop, but he was aware it didn't always help the Keen's already tenuous reputation. "The last thing I need is a bunch of villagers showing up with torches and pitchforks," he grumbled. "Moving all this shit's a pain in the ass." He's great. He's just a little guy. Alright, well, thank you all for watching and listening. And just the reminder that we're going to be releasing videos Monday, 12 p.m. and Friday, not 12 p.m., 12 EST. And Friday, 12 EST. Be like 12 on a 24-hour calendar clock, you know, midday. High noon. Have a good one.